Hey, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Alden.
And we're both teachers at a Canadian school in China.
And we're searching for answers.
But poorly.
So that makes us real human beings.
This is our podcast where we talk about random stuff like movies, TV shows, music.
Life in China, teaching, politics, sports, pretty much whatever we're interested in.
Today, we take a look back at our first episode.
We finally arrived at it. It's great. It's been a year. And who'da thunk? We're going to talk about Arrival again.
Let's go.
What happens now?
They arrive.
They need to see me.
Dr. Banks? Are you insane?
Now that's a proper introduction.
More objects have landed around the world.
This is one of 12.
I'm never going to be able to speak their words.
Got 2 days. Figure something out.
I am human.
It's their language. We need to make sure that they understand the difference between a weapon and a tool. Language is messy, and sometimes one can be both.
Are you dreaming in their language? It's possible they're prodding us to fight among ourselves.
This is just a way to force us to work together for once.
It's more complicated than that.
How is it more complicated?
Russia just executed one of their own to keep their secret
Got 21 hours.
before they start global war.
So how do we clarify their intentions?
I go back in.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, Jacob and I are going to be delving back into the old archives. We've actually... We've been thinking about doing this for a while. We recently rewatched one of the first film that we reviewed ever on Real Human Beings, which of course is the 2016 masterpiece, Arrival, directed by Denis Villeneuve, and is currently my number one science fiction film.
Wow, hear that, folks playing at home?
For those keeping track.
Did you get the hidden message?
Yeah, so today we're going to be looking both at, we both listened to our old podcast, and we're going to be sort of commenting both on...
Episode 1.
We're going to be commenting on both our thoughts upon re-reviewing Arrival, and also just talking about, like, what we thought about Arrival. It's very meta. It's a little bit, recursive.
It's more up your own asshole than you probably ever could have been.
We're back to our heads back in the original position. We've completely Ouroborosed ourselves here.
Yeah.
So let's go.
How do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the man on the street, Jacob. And why don't you go ahead, man on the street, for me?
Well, you see, the thing about Arrival is the fact that it's about family and grief and the Vort's morph hypothesis.
Here, I'll deep cut back. Arrival is about talking to aliens. That was my original first man on the street review too, and it's wrong. It's incorrect.
Yeah, you think that's incorrect?
I think it's incorrect. It's not about talking to aliens.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, so for the full enjoyment, maybe you want to go back and
listen to these at the same time. Put episode 1 in your right ear and put episode 2 in your left ear for maximum enjoyment. That will really, really
listen to another hour and a half of us. That would be awesome. Anyways, sorry.
Do it.
So my man on the street would be Amy Adams, a linguist, is called in by the U.S. military when they need to communicate with aliens, and from there she uncovers
the power of the language.
A secret, about the thing. Yeah, I mean that's honestly just a sentence. That's what I would say.
Going off your man on the street, Amy Adams is a linguist professor, linguistical professor, and she gets approached after aliens arrive sort of mysteriously. We don't even see the event of the aliens' arrival. They just sort of are like, they're here. And she's approached by I'm blanking on his name.
Forrest Whitaker,
who has a mysterious accent.
That's the one thing that I really picked up way more on this time.
Yeah, because I remember when we watched it the first time, you were like, does he have an accent or not? And this time you were like, no, he has an accent. Wait, he doesn't. So she's approached by a military. She's already got secret, clearance or whatever for work that she's done in the past, so that she's known to them. They approach her to help translate the language of the aliens who are in communication with the humans. And there's 12 of these vessels around the world in seemingly random patterns. Mm-hmm. And it becomes kind of a game of like geopolitical, like, well, China's doing this and Russia's doing this and we're talking to each other. And of course there's like the CAA guy who's like, no, we got to keep things close to our
so
chest.
it's like a debate between openness and secrecy.
Yeah.
Like, should we work together or should we like keep our own information secret to ourselves?
And just sort of through their interactions, Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, who's the sort of supporting male lead, or supporting male actor, they become like the head of the science team. They're the ones communicating. She makes the breakthrough of writing for them rather than speaking. Yeah. And they have a written language which is able to be translated. Right. And then from there, the movie sort of unfolds.
The written language looks like coffee stain.
Yeah, or like it's like a inky
ring.
circle.
Yeah, it's a ring.
The ship design is just screams 1960s science fiction. It's a very oblong, half flattened shield disc.
You said like 2001. It's like the monolith too. Like it's just black.
It's unknowable. Yeah. The entrance is completely devoid of any real features that we call
smooth,
machines. It's very smooth inside. The room
is just gravity works differently.
There's a room that's just a white, like it's just a blank screen that they can see the aliens in their smoky environment, and they're interacting.
And then so they learn the language, or
Amy Adams learns
the language. Then what happens?
The language, or at least the written language, they describe it as being, I can't remember the exact word they use it, but it has no beginning. It's divorced from spoken word. And it conveys only meaning, not sound. Like it's a purely meaning language, which is, they say in the movie, unlike any language on Earth. Yeah. And through understanding the language, or at least the written part, she's able to experience time as the aliens experience it, which is occurring constantly.
It's non-linear.
Yeah, it's
non-linear.
So they exist both in the past, present, and future. Like the idea that you would say, there's the future, they would just be like, no, that's happening now.
Your favorite example is when one of them says he's now in death process.
Yeah, he's in the death process, but he could be alive as well, or being born. It's just,
but here in this moment right now, he's in the death process.
But even that doesn't like it.
Well,
it's almost,
in that moment, in the other moment, he's not.
It's kind of almost meaningless for the aliens to talk about time. And what ends up happening, it's kind of weird. Because she understands time, the Chinese are getting spooked by the aliens' aggressive maneuvers. This is due to some Americans trying to kill them. The ships sort of move aggressively. They turn on the side.
They look like a pancake.
And China's like, we're going to attack. And she's like, we got to stop it. And she
Come here for the own voice impressions, folks.
She reads her own book that she wrote about the language in the future and then learns it in the past because she always knew it. Yeah. And then the big reveal of this is that throughout the movie, she's been having these visions of a daughter who passes away tragically due to some rare disease. Mm-hmm. And the way the movie is constructed, spoilers, by the way, the viewer is led to believe that it occurred before the events of the movie took place, that it's a traumatic event and that she's moving forward from it. Yeah. But actually, she's remembering the future, and she doesn't know who the child is. Yeah. She doesn't know it's hers.
She's remembering in short little things.
Yeah, she's remembering these short bursts, and it's because of her understanding of the language. Yeah. And she ultimately saves the day, informs the Chinese.
She
phones him.
She phones the general who's in charge of everything,
who gives her the number in the future at a UN event.
and then he
tells her the words of his dying wife, and through sort of a complicated little change,
he backs down, and then basically the Earth is saved, and the aliens go away. because they're like, we gave you the weapon or
Which
the
they mean,
tool,
the language.
which because the translation is it's not clear.
Yeah.
It means either weapon or tool or something like that, and it turns out that was their language. That was the thing that they wanted to give them all along.
And their goal is to get help from the humans in 3,000 years.
Yeah.
They want help from the humans. They're
They're
like, we're helping you
gonna
now.
help you now.
Yeah.
Cool, that's good. And then the ending is basically she ends up with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
And they decide to have a
The
child.
Yeah.
And that's...
But she knows the child's going to die. This is the big...
I don't believe in beginnings
Yeah.
anymore. But I think this is the beginning of a rival story.
Yeah.
Is the beginning of a rival story is the beginning of a rival
story.
Sorry. No,
Yeah.
but that the beginning, I want to start at the beginning.
Sure, let's start at the beginning.
It's a voiceover of Amy Adams, and I don't know if it's super clear. I think we've decided who it is, but maybe she said it. But she says, "I don't believe in beginnings anymore, or endings or whatever." But this is the beginning of your story, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think we agreed that it's probably the daughter that she's talking to.
Yeah, she's. I think the narration of Amy Adams.
So it would be weird to frame. It would be interesting to frame this movie as not a sci-fi movie or anything or something like that. But it's just her telling her daughter, "How were you conceived?"
Yeah, like here's.
And it's kind of like Edward Scissorhands, where the daughter asks the mother, "How is snow made?" And she's like, "Let me tell you the story about this creepy guy who lives on the." It's like, "Mom, where did I come from? Let me tell you the story about how aliens landed and I needed to learn their language and you're gonna die."
Yeah.
Gee, thanks, Ma.
Yeah. I don't believe in beginnings. Mainly, I don't want to talk about sex with you right now. I don't want to do the sex talk.
Maybe that's it. It's
Maybe
all an elaborate
analogy for...
Well, it's an avoidance thing.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. It's all a dream.
That'd be funny. That would be funny.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So with
derailing.
with that described, I think
Derailing.
probably where we could go to is sort of a reflection on what our previous
That's
thoughts were.
a good idea here.
So, Jacob, why don't you start this?
Okay, well, upon listening to the first episode, I found myself and watching the movie because I would like to comment a little bit on the second time too.
Of course.
For me, it's only a second.
Let's
time.
start with the podcast and then maybe move
Yeah,
to...
no, of course, yeah, that's what I was thinking. For me, I honestly don't really have that much different to say. I think I just have more information about it now. I think all this stuff is the same. Like the ideas that I said, like the sound is amazing. I think Amy Adams steals the show. I have more to say about that later. I appreciate... The thing is, though, now I think I appreciate the music more. Yeah. There was an episode of Song Exploder, which I shared with Alden as well, which has Johan Johansson talking about how he created one of the music, and hearing the amount of effort and the time and the thought that he put into it is amazing to hear. Somebody who's intelligent and thinks about it. That's really cool. And I love the music even more if that was possible. Just based on that.
What would you say about the pacing that you noted in the...
Yeah, so in the original episode, I was talking about how I appreciated this for it being slowly paced.
Yeah.
But then I was also kind of teed off
at the
ending because I thought it was really, we
too slow. Yeah, we get it.
Too slow. I would kind of change that.
Yeah.
I would say really, I think the pacing is fine.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-hour long movie. I appreciate the pacing still, especially in the beginning and even towards the end too. I think I like it too. So yeah, honestly, yeah, no. And upon further reflection, I'm really appreciative even more than I was at the time of the fact that this is a movie that takes its time and looks beautiful, and the camera movements are slow and deliberate, and yeah, it really works. It's a beautiful movie to look at. It's a beautiful movie to watch, and it all works. I think it all works. I would say that I was way too harsh on it. Well, I give it an 8 to an 8.5, and without revealing what I think of it now, I think that I was crazy. Why would I ever think that?
It's easily a 2.
Yeah. Well, because thinking about all the other sci-fi movies that I saw come out after that,
and
it's
odd too because we watched Rogue One just before.
Well, we talked about Rogue One in that episode,
I know.
And you know what? I still hate Rogue One.
Rogue One's still garbage. Hot tip: don't watch Rogue One. It's not good.
We said that in Last Jedi too. Yeah. We're just gonna be known as the
fuck Rogue One. Anyway, total sidetrack to what we were talking about, which is Arrival.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts. I can't really think if I really had anything else to say about it. Yeah, I still agree with everything that I said before, except I have a deeper. Yeah. Everything is deeper now. Or I have a deeper appreciation.
Would you say that there are any flaws that you noticed on the second time around that you didn't notice?
So this isn't really a flaw. I think we referenced it before. But it's not so much a flaw, it's just a weird thing. I think Forrest Whitaker's voice is strange. I have no idea what the accent is. Sometimes it sounds
veers,
like...
It's almost British at times.
Yeah, like... Yeah, then
Boston.
Boston. Like New England. Like, and I'm not really sure.
Oh, right. It's like this weird...
And you were saying, it was like at the time, you were saying like, oh, that's just how Forrest Whitaker
Well, I watched
talks,
Ghost Dog recently.
I feel like he doesn't. I feel like he
kind of mumbles a lot of his lines in other films too.
Yes. And that's not really anything. I don't think Forrest Whitaker did a bad job. It was just distracting.
I actually kind of like Forrest Whitaker's character because
I like him too. The one thing I would say I will still agree with, and the one flaw that I still agree with, is I really hate the ending with the news broadcasts.
Oh yeah. You
There's
just think
this
it's a
part
trite
at the
cliche.
end where the aliens go away and they've saved the Earth and all that stuff, and it just opens up on a screen with a news broadcaster, and it slowly zooms out, and all these other... It's a black part screen, but then it suddenly gets all filled up with other newscasters. They're basically being like, oh, we're all safe now. It was just... It was weird, and it didn't fit in with the rest.
It was a weird Michael Bay cliche.
Not even... I don't think Michael Bay does that, but it was just... It seemed like it belonged in a different movie, and after a movie that had done... all this amazing, slow, deliberate. It just seemed like a strange idea. I do understand what the filmmakers are coming from. They have to get across the fact that the whole entire world
is talking about it.
And they all have it's all good, it's all fine. I kind of get that, and I have no idea how you would fix it. And so it's fine, but it just that part was kind of like. So I agree with myself on that. Actually, I said that when I was there. So yeah, you want to talk about yourself?
All right, so I'll talk about So my original thoughts of the film in the first podcast, I focused a lot on the music, and I focused a lot on the sort of starkness and unseen quality of it. Yeah. So like it doesn't try and explain shit, which I loved.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And
that's really
I pretty much agree with me.
Isn't that funny?
I agree with me, but I would bump it up even more from my original. I'll hold on to my score.
So we're both in the same category here. We're both in the same category here, yeah.
But the big thing for me was that, like, listening to myself explain the film, there's things that I'm going like, yeah, that is true. That is well done, me. High five me. So I agree with the steadiness of the shots and how it's limited to Amy Adams' eyes. I like
how what's limited to Amy Adams.
So like basically information is only given through Amy Adams' character.
Yeah.
We don't ever see more than she would see. Apart from a few odd scenes that need. Yeah. Like when we view aliens, when we view the ship, it's all coming through her perspective.
Yeah, you're with her pretty much the whole entire movie.
You're riding along with her, which is great because it really makes you... Her character is very subtle. Amy Adams does a really good job.
She's doing amazing work.
But I think it works even better because you're with the character so long.
Yeah.
If you weren't with the character long enough, a lot would be lost. And I wonder what other films have suffered because of this. Other things, I think I actually disagree with myself on one point.
Yeah.
I was talking about the sort of the slowness of the film is when we were talking about the slow shot versus the stadialness at the end. I would say that like I'm almost like the reverse now of that, where I still love the slowness of the camera and I still love the deliberate nature.
Yeah.
But I think that the movie's almost perfect in length and that you need that end section to sort of tighten the nuts.
The section where she's talking to and the movie's saying like, do you get it?
Yeah. I kind of think you need that.
Like that.
I like that because
I mean I don't hate it as much as I did before.
The only thing that I'm
fine with it now.
Yeah. The only thing that I would disagree with myself as well, or appreciate more, I guess, too, just in listening to my old review, the reason like why they did that, I guess. Also the fact that like I'm agreeing with you here. How do you end that movie? The first and middle the introduction and the middle section of the film is so strong. How the hell do you end it? And I feel like it sort of had to be cumbersome. So I'm like sort of more forgiving, I guess, which is why I disagree with myself. Because I'm more forgiving about the movie's foibles.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. I want to note, I talk about how it's directed by Denis Villeneuve and that Johan Johansson is going to do the music.
Yeah.
And then does the music. And then I also talk about Blade Runner 2049 in it. I mentioned that Denis Villeneuve is going to be directing Blade Runner and that Johan Johansson is doing the music for that, which he doesn't.
And then he does it.
And I kind of,
Max
it's like looking back.
Yeah.
At
Well,
like,
I mean,
and I go like, and Hans Zimmer too.
He did do the music for a part of it, then he got kicked off.
But I want to hear that music.
Yeah.
I want to hear what he had.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really interesting.
I
think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of backlash against 2049, but I still really like that movie too.
I really like it too.
So.
I watched it again. I honestly, not much other than like,
Okay.
I've just got more to add to my old review, basically.
All right. Well, I guess then for me, watching it, because this is only the second time that I've watched it.
This is the third time I watched it.
For me, I think this still works. It has been a year since I watched it, so maybe
you definitely had a
that's part
stronger
of it.
emotional response. I would say that.
To the second time versus the first.
Yeah. I'm just remembering your reaction in the theater versus your reaction when we were watching it together.
Yeah.
I think you had a stronger emotional reaction to some of the scenes with the daughter and the.
Well, that's what I was going to specifically bring up is the fact that you would think that. So the big twist, to call it that, is the fact that her daughter is dead and she's not actually, or her daughter is going to die and she's seeing it in the future
and she's going to do it anyway.
Blah 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 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you would think that would maybe ruin some of the flash forwards or flashbacks. It made it even more powerful to be specifically the scene where they're standing in the river and her daughter asks her why her and the dad got like left, and she's talking about it, and it's and what Amy Adams is doing there is so good, like you're saying, so subtle and so nuanced, and it's
especially the way she ends that conversation.
It's amazing
because she says it's to do with an incurable disease,
right?
And then she says, kind of like you, unstoppable. So she's like switching the
conversation
I know, to move, and it's like,
that hit me so hard, and the fact that I know, like, she knows, she's gonna die, and she's calling her unstoppable, and and she says like the incurable disease, kind of like you, but she knows she has the disease, so it's like she's saying you maybe, but like then she says like you're gonna be unstoppable. This idea of like the love that you give to your children, those scenes, punch me in the heart. So I think it's even better watching it the second time.
It's like the ultimate bittersweet film.
Yeah,
it's so bittersweet.
There's a lot to say about grief, you know, really, and like that's the thing, we don't see anything past.
No.
That
we
don't see anything past the last. If we were thinking about it from a linear perspective, the absolute last scene that we see
is Amy Adams walking in the hospital.
Is Amy Adams in the hospital with her daughter,
and then she's walking in the hallway, and then it fades to black.
Yeah, and that's the last thing we see. That would be like if we were to make a cut of Arrival that was like
linear
chronologically. It would be
weird.
Yeah, well, it'd be weird, but also like it's interesting because we see technically the last thing at the very beginning of the movie. I mean, that's not the first movie to have done that, but like her whole entire story is all about her daughter. And it ends with the end of her daughter. So I don't know, it says something like about life. When your kids die. Fuck. Well, no one said it was okay. Anyways, that was my main thing in the second viewing. I don't know how the fuck Amy Adams is getting nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, she was.
Arrival was nominated for sound editing, picture, director, adapted screenplay, sound mixing, cinematography, film editing, production design, and it won for best sound editing. But Amy Adams was not.
She did win a golden. No, she didn't. She was nominated for the Golden Globe.
She won a BAFTA.
Yeah. Again, I think, like her performance is a
it's so good.
Like
it's so good.
Testament to what you can do with very little. Because
she doesn't have a ton of like lines or anything.
No, I just think the really big thing is that like I can't speak about Amy Adams because I don't know her personally, but I would imagine that upon reading the script, she's thinking in her head like, when I play these scenes that are in the past, I have to make it look like I am grief-stricken
Yeah.
and I am distraught or depressed
Yeah.
and that I have had something traumatic happen to me, which she does. You just feel it. Like every time she's talking about something or the way she acts or moves when she has a flashback or flash forward, she looks like somebody who's going through grief, who's going through trauma, that it's real. Even the way she like holds her tone and like, I don't know, it's utterly fascinating that she's able to pull it off so eloquently.
No, I agree. I agree.
Sorry, I sort of cut you off there. Apologies.
I didn't have anything else to say, really.
Okay. So, yeah, so for the big thing for me in my second viewing, there were two things. One, the title.
Yeah.
I really liked sort of like
The title?
Arrival would imply like Arrival of the Aliens.
Uh-huh.
But I think a big thing of like my initial Man on the Street review was it's a story about talking about aliens, and that's not true. It's a story about love or like the progression of time in human lives, like and how we interpret it. So for me, Arrival could mean the arrival of a child, the arrival of a thing from the past that you don't want to remember, arrival of a thing from the future that you didn't expect. Like it's not about the arrival of aliens. The aliens are almost like tertiary characters. They're almost part of the landscape. It doesn't even.
Yeah.
It's like man versus nature, and the aliens are nature. There, it's just. I know they're acting agents and they do things, but so much of the movie revolves around Amy Adams coming to realizations about her character and about the arc and path of human survival. The word arrival to me takes on different meanings. And I just really appreciated the attempts by the director and both the writer and all the people involved in the movie to convey a message of sort of the inevitability or the inevitability of an arrival of something new and different, something that we don't want.
That's an interesting idea when you talk about like, why is it called Arrival?
Yeah. So that was my second viewing. My second point, which I want to talk about, is just about the way time is experienced. I recently reread Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, which deals with a very similar race of aliens that experience time. They see in 4D, so they are able to experience time constantly, which is basically what the aliens in Arrival are doing too. They experience time non-linearly. They jump around.
And the main character in that too is like walking through doorways and just going into different times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The beauty of the film, I think, is that it speaks to how, like, Amy Adams knows that her child will die in the future, but she still chooses to do it because that's what she does.
Well,
and that's sort
beautiful?
of it is beautiful because like your life and what you have in it are determined by the people around you, and you see the like joy and happiness and beauty and tragedy, and like that's what gives your life meaning. And if you know your life, if you know your path, and you say, I'm going to avoid having that. Like when she asked Renner the question.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
Like if you could choose to...
If you saw your whole entire life in front of you, would you change anything?
And he kind of goes, no, because...
Doesn't he say like...
He says, I don't think so.
Well, he says like, I don't know. He says something quippy.
Yeah, he quips away.
I don't remember exactly. I should have looked at that. And and the last dialogue. The last dialogue is, do you want to make a baby?
Yeah.
And she says yes.
Yeah. And like
and that's like, oh, huh.
And like that's again, it speaks to like the great majesty and beauty and sorrow to life that like the aliens feel and we feel, because I think that humans struggle with this idea that, we want things to be good. We want things to remain stable and safe, and we want to be happy most of the time. We don't like being sad. Humans as a species, we try and avoid being sad. We try and find comfort and happiness, but that's not what life gives you. You can't do that, and you can't re-choose actions, right? If I do something, I can't take it back. I can't. I physically cannot take back an action or a word I say. And if you know that, what would somebody do? And honestly, I think it's a very honest approach to say most people wouldn't change it, because if you're seeing all your life, you're seeing, the deep sorrow of seeing your daughter, but you're also seeing the high peaks of playing with her, walking beside you. You see the tragedy, the beauty, the whole.
So this is kind of like there's two things here. So like you either like it's either like, okay, you do what you do and that's it, and that's the one thing that you can do, or you choose to do whatever shit.
Yeah.
Or like there's a multiverse and every single possibility has happened.
Yeah.
This one I feel like is saying like, no, just is what it is. Like it's a fatal.
Yeah, or it just is.
Like it's fate. Like we're, I don't know, whatever, it's deterministic or something like that.
And
whereas like Rick and Morty is like everything, like whatever, you know.
It's
like, it's weird. It's like, is it like nihilism in both contexts?
Yes,
though?
nothing matters.
It's like nihilism, and but with two different
paths,
theories about the world.
Yeah, one just says it doesn't matter what you do because you're going to do it anyway. Everything.
What the other one says it doesn't matter because it's happened already,
or something else. Yeah,
countless worlds.
Yeah. So like the big thing, and again, just it's also fresh in my mind because I read Slaughterhouse-Five over the weekend.
Yeah.
Having like things they just are, and you can't like even the idea of fighting it. Like I feel like the word fate or destiny by humans is an attempt to understand time in a way that's like wrong. An alien observing it with their language would just be like, what do you mean fate? It just is. This just is what happens. Abbott is in the death process. We are just here. This is happening. To say one thing, like they don't even, for them to say like, why is this happening? She asks them that, and they're kind of just like, it's just what it is, man. And that's the way. And in Slaughterhouse-Five, they're the same thing.
Okay,
he asks like, why is this happening? And they sort of just go, it's bizarre to look at humans because they're stuck in this idea that time moves like a train and you can see it coming and you make choices when really it's just you're on a train.
Yeah, no, I guess I see what you're saying, but I still, and I think it's true. Both of those books and the movie try to imagine how would that be to experience time in that way. But I don't know. I think it's too hard to really judge because I have no idea how to view it through that. I don't know. It's
just something I noticed on second viewing, basically.
Yeah, but I guess I'm just saying it's. I think
to apply that theory is wrong.
I don't think either of them do a good job of making me understand exactly like, oh, that makes sense. Like the aliens think this way or whatever. And I mean, like I can understand it on a level that I understand what you're saying, but like I don't in my brain I don't like it doesn't click or anything. Like I get the idea, but I don't think thinking about time will ever make sense in that way to me because I'm a 3-dimensional being and a 4-dimensional being, right? So I think it's a noble attempt that ultimately doesn't work for me. I mean, it's really cool. I still think it's really cool. I just think it's awesome. I gotta blow my nose.
My 2.5.
Oh my god, 2.5.
I have a 2.5 here. I still dislike the dream sequence. I think I feel the same way I do about how you feel about the broadcasting at the end. I feel like it's a scene out of place. A jump scare in the middle of a movie that's really slow and stately and has not had jump scares and has no intonation of being a horror film.
I don't think it's a jump scare.
It kind of is. Like, all of a sudden it cuts to this alien inside a room going, like it's this very loud, sudden noise that it cuts and jumps to. It's a darkened room.
I don't know. I think it's fairly. I'll defend it. I think it's fairly interesting, the idea of it being.
But I also see why it's in there.
Part of like cosmic horror.
Yeah, and I also see why it's in there.
Like we talked last time, and I think it can't be stressed enough, like how alien the aliens look, and I think in a way that dream sequence is very much like kind of emphasizing that eldritch horror, that unknowable stuff, and that sense of dread. I don't know. I kind of like that. I will say though, the trailers. Thinking back on it now, it looked a lot more like a horror film. It was advertised a lot more like
a spooky,
sci-fi horror
film,
as opposed to just sci-fi. Because I don't think it's horror. I think you're right.
No, it's just sort of a science film. Not even. It's just a drama. I'll just put a drama.
Yeah,
with sci-fi elements.
Yeah, I mean, so you still don't like the dream sequence, though?
I don't like it, but I understand why it's there, and I can forgive it for being there.
Okay.
I just don't like it. It's my least favorite part of the film. I mean, my least favorite part of the film, and a film that I give a high review to, is still quite good. Like, I think the way the lighting, the way they set up the scene itself is cool. the way Amy Adams acts is if the alien's already in the room and she's looking to it, but you can cut to it. All very good filmmaking practices, well shot. I just don't like the scene, personally. I just think you could have found another way to talk about the severe Worf hypothesis. Like, why have it be a weird jump cut to the thing? Like, why not make it, they're in a field walking and he's talking, they're outside the ship. And then all of a sudden they see one of the, like, their aliens standing beside them. Like, that could be just as fine. And you can have a slow, stately shot of the ship pan down, and then you see the base of an alien next to Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner, because they pretty much tell you in that scene, the dream sequence, right away that it's a dream. There's like there's two back and forths, and then you hear the bird tweet, and then he goes,
You're already dreaming in the language, aren't you?
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, it's a dream sequence. Like, it's not, like, they don't hold their card for very long. They just go, oh, here it is. So, I just feel like
I think it's fairly weak, personally. That's just me.
I don't know.
You're allowed. You're allowed your opinion on this.
Yeah, so that's it, I guess.
All right, it's number time.
Yeah. It's now time for numbers. We've decided to give some numbers to the film. We've come around. I'll start since I'm the most truest to my original number. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. As close to a perfect science fiction film as I've ever seen. Very few match it in caliber. And it's at the number 1.
So originally I gave it a 7, which I upgraded to an 8, to an 8.5 during the review, which I don't know why, because this is obviously a 10 out of 10. Like, how did I...
Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't know why I was so hard on it, because...
Maybe because I was so hard on it.
It's not good. That's... So, yeah, I mean, really, this is a great movie. This is one of the best. This deserves to be on one of those, like, capsules that they shoot off into space.
This is one of those films that,
like, here's a question: would you send this off to aliens?
Immediately. I would also be like, if you had a list of sci-fi films that you have to watch, this is up at the top.
Yeah.
This is like, you want to watch 2001 Space Odyssey, you want to watch Alien, you want to watch Matrix, you want to watch Arrival, you want to watch Blade Runner. Those, like, if you watch those 5, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
You're in good hands in terms of sci-fi. And then you can start adding things that are much weirder to that list. But yeah, you kind of can't...
Akira.
Yeah, Akira. You could put in... the list goes on and on for sci-fi film classics. I honestly feel like sci-fi is kind of...
Grown-ups?
Yeah, grown-ups. And grown-ups too. For sci-fi, I actually feel like it's such a niche genre that, like... Or not niche genre, but, like, the chances for classics, for good classic films, come from sci-fi more than any other genre, I feel like. Because it's such a specific focus, I guess. Like Under the Skin, Ex Machina. These are all films that, while you found disturbing or weird, still have merit and still are...
I don't think so. I don't think they did. I never thought that they did. I just don't really want to particularly watch them.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. Like, sci-fi has some weird lasting power, way more than something like action movie or romance.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to watch Transformers 2.
You know? Yeah, I'll agree with that.
So, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Watch Arrival. Listen to our old podcast. Listen to our new podcast.
Yeah.
Called... that's the name.
Do you want to make a baby?
Sure. Yeah.
Gross. When we come back...
We've had a baby.
We'll have a baby.
is it going? We are finally back after a long hiatus. Both Alden and I were on vacation. I was down under in Australia, while Alden was actually doing some work for next episode. That's all I'll say about that. Leave it as a mystery. The music today is Heptapod B, which was composed by Johan Johansson. As of the time of recording this interlude, Johan Johansson news came out of his untimely death. He made brilliant music. You can really see the amount of time and effort that he put into all of his work. He also was a gracious person. In 2049, a movie that Alden and I both talked about, he was the original composer for it, but Benjamin Wallfisch took over composing along with Hans Zimmer, and that was actually Johan Johansson's decision on his own. He said, my music is not exactly fitting what this movie should be, and he said, I'm not the right person for this job. And normally you don't see people with that big of, or rather, that small of an ego. So definitely listen to the song Exploder episode with this song. It's really cool, and you get to see a look into how a true artist operates. The B section is probably the biggest head up our own ass section we'll ever do. We just talk about the podcast, what we think could be improved, and where we can go from here. A lot of it's very rambling, which I did on purpose. I didn't really edit this very much. Hopefully when Alden listens to this, he'll kind of get the reason why. Being mean and trying to make a point to him. So if you yourself, dear listener, have any suggestions as well, just hit us up. We're all on the social media, realhumanbeings.com. Come check us out. All right, on to the B section. Is coming to an end.
Jacob.
Oh well, I guess we're gonna pretend. Let's see how far we've come.
What's gonna be funny?
Who sang that song?
It's Matchbox 20. What's gonna be funny is that's not gonna be the intro music. It's not gonna be the interlude music. That's gonna be something totally different.
Do you think I could start a band called Fire 21?
I don't get it.
And then Ashes 22. Two Matchbox 20. Fire 21. Yeah. Think I could do that, Jacob?
Put crickets in there.
I think that was good. Solid humor. Vote now if you think my joke's better than Jacob's piece of shit. Whatever his joke is. Gives a fuck. Welcome to the B section,
I just
everyone.
remembered that I really liked...
that we review...
I really liked Matchbox 20.
This is where we savage ourselves.
Gross.
We review our old podcast. We're going to see how far we've come, as Jacob was so politely singing to us. And then we'll just sort of, go from there.
All right, I'll let you start then.
All right.
I'm not really sure what I want to say.
Okay, so
I haven't really thought about it that much.
I guess the big thing, I was listening to the old pods, the first one specifically.
Oh, did you any of the other ones?
Yeah, I listened to the second and third as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The big thing is this thing. I did a lot of this
Yeah,
in
you did.
the first podcast and the second podcast.
Yeah, you did.
And I've stopped doing it because
That's good.
because
Wow, you actually changed your
because I remember
because
because I remember after the second episode I was listening to it, I'm like, fuck, I'm doing that a lot, and I had to physically stop myself.
Hey, so you changed.
Yeah, so I
There
changed.
is hope for the future. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I
That's
did change.
great.
But maybe I was always fated to do that. Who knows? If I had seen my life, would I,
Would you still make the decision not
Yeah.
to tap?
Yeah.
Your
So I
friends?
did do that, which was quite frustrating. I was very mad at myself. The show was a lot more rambling. I think Jacob, I remember initially when we first decided to do the podcast, It was mostly Jacob wanting to do it. And
Wait, no.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I was the one who was hesitant because I was like, oh, I don't know if I really. You were the one who was like, yeah, let's do it. Come on, let's just
So
do it.
I just flew.
You were way more I wanted to like craft it and stuff like that, and I was like taking my time, and you were just like, let's just fucking do it.
Yeah,
and honestly,
but that shows.
But I'm saying that's what I needed.
Yeah,
that's what we needed. You just need someone to kick you in the pants every so often. That's what I'm saying. So I really appreciate the fact that we did that. That we have those things there, and that. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome.
Now back to get my point.
Yeah, I mean...
No, not to dismiss. That's a very...
That's your point. Go back to your point. That was a random aside.
My point is that...
It's a lot more rambling.
It's a lot more rambling, and it really feels like, like I was just like, okay, let's just fucking do it, so that we can say that we've done it. And the structure...
Just one episode?
Yeah, the structure of the podcast is well, just getting one podcast out of the way, it's like, then you do another. Then you do another, right? That's like exercise. Like
then another one.
Then another one. Exactly. You
meme from what 2 years ago, something like that.
So very rambling, all over the place, and it really was just us in a room talking, and
that hasn't changed
it hasn't,
much.
But we've structured it, and I think
a little bit.
What I find interesting is that. You have said after about 3 or 4 episodes, you're like, I trust the process of us just sitting down with a loose guideline and basically having at it.
There'll be something in there.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that like upon reflection and listening to those first, it's like no, we do need more sinew in the beast, as it were, and that's definitely something that I think upon further reflection. Will really improve the podcast, and I'm going to just sort of segue gently into my improvement section. That the
we have improved, or we are going to improve.
Both we have, and we are going to.
All right, it's a fairly big commitment.
So what I'm
into it.
What I would say is that initially when we started, it was like we need to just get this fucker off the ground. Let's just fire her up and see what happens. Then we start to go, okay, we can have an A and B section, and we have the C section, and picks of the week and all that stuff. And we're adding these sinews, these elements that we can pull and use. Then we start adding, field trip and clips from shows, and we're just building that musculature. And when we listen to a podcast now, it's got a much more sort of complete body feel.
Yeah,
it has movement. Where the first one feels like a drunk, sort of staggering, jumping from point to point. And not really ever staying long enough to really satisfy anything.
You know what the one thing that hasn't changed?
What?
Your beautiful metaphors that make no sense to me.
I know. but the I think what I appreciate now more is that how much we've improved.
Uh-huh.
And seeing that if we keep on this path, we'll see even greater returns
for
our investors.
Okay.
This is...
Okay, I mean,
like having more structure even in the B section, like saying what are we going to talk about here, and here, like just tightening up things and how we deliver our information.
This is really probably boring for people who are like we're meta.
Yeah,
this is so.
I'm enjoying it.
Oh, I mean, that's what it was all about originally, anyways. So I should get over myself.
Yeah.
I will say, I think there still is a lot of rambling.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've cut down a lot more. The fact that I...
Ramble on.
The fact that I have OCD and I will listen the whole entire thing and cut out stuff has affected it that way, too.
Yeah. But it needs that tightness, right? Yeah. Like, I think if I was to extend the metaphor...
Yeah, keep going.
I feel like in many cases I'm kind of like the insane man peeling off strips of madness.
What? How does this relate to your metaphor?
Like, hold on, let me explain. So, like, we have a drunk man hopping from pond to pond, right? That's both of us together, both flailing wildly.
Oh, God.
Then you stop and take a breather, and your skill as an editor is much better than mine. You do a very good job.
I just think it's the fact that
And you enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I enjoy it, but I'm also like, who else would care enough? Like, I fully acknowledge the fact that I don't need to put this amount of...
No, but I think...
probably doesn't really make that much of a difference to anyone other than me, you know?
And that's all that matters. I remember reading I think it's The Belgariad by It's a
I
fantasy
know the
novel.
Belgariad.
Yeah. They have a scene where he's talking to the smith, and the smith is making a harness for a cart. It's one of the bolts that goes underneath, and the boy asks, "Why don't you just make it quickly, so you can move into another thing because nobody's ever going to see it?" And the smith goes, "Well, I'll know it's there, and I need to know that it's good." And that's exactly what I see in you. Like, I know the amount of work I put in. That's all that matters. You put your heart into it, and it shows.
Yes, I'm just saying.
I'm trying to compliment you, Jacob.
Well, thank you. I guess I'm just saying I understand why people would also be like, well, that's a waste of time.
Yeah. But what isn't? We all die in the end anyway. So.
Good night, everybody.
That should be my sign off. Like as a news anchor, like good night and God bless you. It's like we all die, and then you just leave.
With that tone.
Yeah.
We all die. Not even like a rising.
Yeah,
tone,
and it's just staring into the camera. This.
Okay.
I think, what was it? The metaphor? Drunken hopping.
Oh yeah, we got really far off.
Drunken hopping here. The metaphor that I want to use now is like you've always said my mind is like a frying pan. And you're like a cooking pot. Well, what I need to do,
crock-pot.
You're a crock pot, and
I think crock pot is a funnier word.
And I'm running around. What I need to start doing is instead of just flipping that food out and not paying attention to if you catch it in the crock pot or not, I need to be passing you that stuff that I'm frying off. I can't just be splitting off into the wild blue yonder.
Wait, what happened to the insane man peeling off skin?
That's exactly. Peeling off ribbons of just stuff. I gotta be tossing it back to you so you can decipher it. I feel like you're a translator. You're like, I'm the alien. And you're like, no, I understand this. Can we make a trailer? It's this little pan down, and it's the white light in my room. I'm in the bathrobe. And then, I slap the hand up. And you're like, now that's an introduction.
Fuck, I forgot to mention that.
Oh, yeah. Here, let's do... Jacob, what's your thoughts on the scene?
Don't worry, it's too late.
Oh.
It's too late.
But anyway, my point being is that I need to be paying more attention to what... I need to practice mindfulness. And I need to practice purpose and action. And strangely, I think these last 2 days, I've had more of that, both in my classes and in just interactions.
These last 2 days?
Yes, I know. It sounds weird.
What?
Let me elaborate. It's not about the podcast now. I've had this chest pain.
Are you and when you listen back to this, we're gonna be less rambling. And then you're gonna go off on this. But the thing is, you're never going to hear this because I'm just going to be like, all right, I'm cutting this out.
It makes sense, Jacob. Because
right.
I'm in near constant pain. It's not a high level of pain. It's a very small amount of pain, but it's enough that it jogs my mind awake a little bit. I can't ignore it. There's some things that you can ignore and you just autopilot through the day. But having a little bit of pain to go hey, look up and pay attention to what you're doing and how you interact with the students and how you interact with people. That's important. You need to pay attention to the words and the things you're saying. So rather than just Iagoing my way through life and just fucking flying by the seat of my pants and ripping shit again and just going I hope somebody catches that and just throwing stuff behind me, the podcast and my life to some extent would benefit from this mindfulness approach. And that's what I mean when we say that we're going to get more sinew pull, right? That we have more connectivity.
That's the grossest sinew. Ugh.
Fine, strings. Gears, meshing of teeth.
How is meshing of teeth?
You're this
better?
gear size and I'm this gear size.
Yeah.
Are you grossed up by gears?
No, you say teeth. I'm thinking of I know you mean gear teeth, but I think you're thinking about human teeth.
Fine, what would you say? Velcro? You're the...
I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about anymore.
Well, that's my
review. You're talking about your chest pain and then a naked man jumping from pond to pond.
It makes perfect sense.
Let's move
away from me.
The one thing I was just gonna say is I really appreciate from the first podcast. I thought I had a killer joke at the very beginning.
What'd you say?
I was like, yeah, if you can't tell us apart, I'm wearing glasses. Alden isn't.
That was pretty good.
So stupid. Anyways, that's all I have to say.
That's no improvements. Nothing to
No,
improve.
well, I mean, just my observation
Right.
about that.
Right.
I like that joke.
Yeah.
It was a funny joke that came out of nowhere. And I like the joke at the end of the first episode where I just started talking about the beginning. I think context would have been better if people had actually seen the movie or seen that scene.
But again, still good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I think within a year we've released. This is going to be our 17th episode, which means that that's like that's more than one episode.
A month.
A month.
Yeah. It's plus 5.
We're about bi-weekly. I mean, we've had some bonus episodes too.
Yeah.
Or bi-weekly, bi-monthly. Pretty good pace.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy on a Friday night not going out to a party or something and just
It's still fresh too. We always have something to
having
talk about.
thing.
We always have something to talk about too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I
This is
never thought it would be. That would be a problem, to be honest.
No, but I mean, like, just having it's interesting, like the nature of the microphone, and how you have to construct your. Don't look at me like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Fine, I'll just drop it.
Some other things that see how far we've come. I was thinking about it last time, and over 50% of our podcast, Alden has been drunk.
Not drunk. Buzzed at most.
Drinking.
Buzzed to drunk. Which
so,
may
I
explain
don't know.
a little bit about the rambling, I guess.
Improvements. Is that
Less drinking.
for?
Yeah.
Well,
What would we improve, Jacob? And what can we improve?
No, I think you're right. I'm gonna say it in maybe less
Of an insane tone.
less concise than Alden, but
Yes.
I think that we could use more structure too.
Okay. Where's your
it.
metaphor?
That's
How are
it.
people going to understand you?
That's
It's
it.
fucking amateur hour
I
here.
don't know. I think we could always use more structure though. I don't think this is an official show or anything.
No,
so
no,
we
no.
can do whatever the fuck we want. The things that I would like to see for the future is more of these weird like side bits. Like I like like you were saying, like we have a sting for field trips now.
Yeah.
We have a sting for. I would love to do more with real human being searches.
Mm-hmm.
We still have to do a China music episode because we lost a ton of audio. I've been listening to a ton of new.
Yep.
I'd love to do like
So there's just shows that you
You
want to
know,
do. Like
huh?
little, just like additions to it.
yeah, and I mean this is far in the future and this is more pretentious or whatever. But I'd love to make it into an. I'd love to. Not this. This would be a different thing. This is more. There's always been a project like that, but this would be. This has given me opportunity and experience, and I would love to transition this to being something more.
You do full time.
Well, yeah, and being more of like from a reporter's perspective.
And of course, market opportunities.
I'd love
plushies.
to. No,
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'd love
Sorry.
to make a T-shirt with our logo on it.
Yeah.
That would look awesome, don't you think? Like a black T-shirt with
Yeah.
with our logo on the
Yeah.
front. That looks so cool.
Yeah.
No, but I I'd love to
Especially
like
Dark Wolf Media, too.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to report on stuff here in China, like and not like big stuff necessarily, but more like
Small
like
stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like somebody who's never been here, like what is it actually like? What are the people of China like? What do they actually experience? What do they what is we have such a limited view in a lot of ways to these places and these people, and having an understanding of who they are and what they think and what their experiences are. I said this all the way back on Joyce to the World, which is episode 4, but it's still something that is in the back of my mind. It's still something that I want to do. And I perpetually always said, "Oh, I'm going to do it soon," but that's the only thing that I can say right now. I'm going to do it soon. I think I have to at least try. So
Yeah, of course.
that's my thing
Yeah.
for the future. That's what I see.
That's awesome. I would love to, I guess, if I'm being a bit more serious and less metaphor-y here, and ranty, I think one of the really cool things is like the possibilities of having, like, we live in an age where you can have your own company, your own media company that you just have. And, like, that's fucking cool, man.
You want to make Dark Wolf Media an actual thing?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it is a thing. We have one show. Our show. We're both CEO and employees.
Well, okay, having an actual company means you have to like sign paperwork.
No, I
and
know,
stuff like that.
And I don't mean
That's
that,
what
but the idea that we can have like a brand
Yeah.
Like that we have a platform where we can say our opinions.
Yeah.
And that we can have a place to have an outlet for our creativity. Like I would love to be able to do some D&D sesh on Dark Wolf Media.
That'd be pretty cool.
I would love to have like my own little like Alden rants for 2 hours by himself. Just sits with a microphone and talks about stuff. That would be a very niche podcast, but I wouldn't mind that because sometimes I just want to talk to the void, and Jacob is the void in a lot of the cases, and he suffers. He suffers deeply.
I think we should have a gaming channel.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty funny watching you play Getting Over It.
Yeah.
Because it's about as good as what you would expect Alden playing Get Over It would be. Also, I think drinking.
I was drinking at the time. A bottle of wine.
Which is kind of a meme now, that Getting Over It, the video game that's really, really hard.
Yeah.
I'm
over it.
He's over it now.
Yeah. To see, it's a great metaphor because getting over it literally means you're getting, like, you don't care about the game.
No, I know.
Fuck it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Why am I so obsessed?
It doesn't.
I'm over it.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? You want to talk about New Year's resolution?
I think upon listening to the first one though, like I'm going like, yeah, there is something there. Like there was, like us, like we've always had good.
I mean, that's why I said I trust the process. More.
Yeah, but like it's just cool to see. It's cool to like hear and listen. And go like, yeah, they're like you like as an artist or somebody who creates things. You always have that doubt in the back of your mind that says you're not doing something that's good. Why are you doing this?
I remember the first one I was a lot more nervous about saying stuff, and I think maybe also editing it. I'm more comfortable because I know I have control.
Yeah,
but
it's just sort of cool to like. It's the same thing when I listen to like an old song that I've made. I'm like, no, this is good. Like it's rough, and like it could definitely be improved, but like there's something there. And that's cool to be able to reflect in your own.
Something that wasn't there before.
You can reflect on your progress, and that's a very pleasant thing to do.
Yeah, reflecting on progress is good. That's true. You're right.
I don't know.
No, you're right. That's true.
It's not a game of being right or wrong, Jake.
No, you're right. You're right. It's good. I agree with you.
All right,
that's true.
Anything more to say about the podcast? Not really. Check it out. realhumanbeings.com. Find us on iTunes. All the major podcasts.
Last thing, New Year's resolutions?
Oh, shit.
From before?
Yeah, I failed at all of them. Not good.
What were your New Year's? Can you remember them?
Workout, probably. Read more books, probably. And that's about it.
I'm gonna say a name. Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, yes. That's right. That's right. I wanted to be more like Marcus Aurelius. Practice.
Fucking pretentious, like
austerity.
You like this guy. You like, yeah, I'm gonna be like this
Roman emperor who had doubted himself. I like Marcus Aurelius. I think you should read Meditations. It's a fantastic look into a person with somebody who had all the power in the world and still woke up and was like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Why are you not fucking getting out of bed, you garbage human? Like, he was really harsh on himself.
Say more about depression than...
Well, it's cool to see that, like, we think ourselves as unique or special, but, like, no, this was the Emperor of Rome writing a diary to himself saying, like, why do you want to get out of bed? Because you're lazy? Or is it because you just don't care anymore? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this, Marcus? Why are you staying in bed? Like, he's, like, berating himself.
I mean, again, that seems like... depression.
So yeah, I failed miserably, and I fully admit that. So I'm toning it back this year. I don't have a SMART goal. Jacob's very big on SMART goals.
No, I'm not. I think they're stupid. But I had to teach it like 4 times in a row. So
my goal for this
sucks.
new year, because I didn't actually make any. I don't even know what I did for New Year's. I think that I would practice mindfulness.
What does that mean?
That means, for me, being aware of what I say and controlling my urge, and more than not failing at this. I fully admit that I will fail this. Trying to stop my inevitable need to rant and bullshit. Like, to tone it down. Like, stop mansplaining. I'll stop. Like, whoa, dude. Like, you don't need to say these things. You don't need to just fire off. You're not contributing to the conversation. You're not taking away from it. but you're not contributing. So just be aware of what you say, and know that.
You think the podcast helps with that? Like,
I think it
hearing
does.
yourself?
Well, I think the big thing with the microphone, I kind of have to think about what I'm going to say, but I do spin off into rants. I fail. Like, I'm going to fail.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
whatever.
going to be a
That's just
process.
you.
It's going to be a
I mean,
process.
I'm not. Yeah.
But that's my goal for this year, to be more mindful.
Well, that's cool. I separated my ones into three categories.
So what were your New Year podcasts?
It was mind, body, and soul.
Okay, right, that's right.
Mind was just to write more, do something more, which I changed to do something more creative, which was this podcast.
Yeah, I think you succeeded.
Well, we've kept it up. Yeah. Obviously, this is our year anniversary. My body was go to the gym, and I've been doing that. I've been sick this week, so I'm taking like just the week off. And the last one was soul, which I don't have a soul, so it's really work. And I've actually really enjoyed this newest semester. I've had a lot of different ideas, different experiments that I'm trying. I'm not sure how well they'll work, but I'm kind of appreciative of that happening. I also feel a lot more confident in myself, and more willing to criticize. I'm gonna cut that out, but because
criticize people.
We shouldn't talk about our school, but yeah, criticize people. You know,
yeah, being able to
I
say
feel
no.
I feel a lot more confident about my own ability now, after being exposed to the other side. Which is cool. So yeah, I'm successful. I think that's successful. I think those three work for me, and I think that's what I'm gonna keep on doing.
Awesome.
Well, when we come back,
Picks of the week.
the time where we talk about what's zooming your Zams.
What's zamming your zooms?
I'm waking up at the start of the end of the world, but it's feeling just like every other morning before. Now I wonder what my life is gonna mean if it's gone. The cars are moving like a half a mile an hour, and I started staring at the passengers and waving goodbye. Can you tell me what was ever really special about me all this time? But I believe the world is burning to the ground. Oh well, I guess we're gonna find out. Let's see how far we've come. Let's see how far we've come. Well, I believe it all is coming to an end. Oh well, I guess we're gonna pretend. Let's see how far we've come. Let's see how far we've come. We can turn 10 o'clock.
Next up is Picks of the Week. What we're listening to right now is How Far We've Come by Matchbox 20. I made a joke about it on the top of the last section, so of course I had to include it here. I really do remember a time when I thought this music was really cool. It's funny to look back and see what you thought previously, and a little painful too, I guess. Stay tuned at the end of this episode. You might notice that it ends with about 4 minutes left to go. There's some bonus scenes, some bonus episodes, kind of like a Marvel movie. Some stuff that didn't really flow together well in the conversation, but I thought to include there. If you want a bit of insight into why we particularly hate a certain movie that got brought up a couple times, stay until the end. So on to Picks of the Week, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow? I guess later. Whatever.
Oh well, I guess we're gonna find out. Let's see how far we've come. Let's see how far we've come. Well, I believe it all is coming to an end. Oh well, I guess we're gonna pretend. Let's see how far we've come. Oh yeah, let's see how far we've come. 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 Let's see how
live in front of a broadcast
a studio audience. We're recording this pretty much the same day that we did last year.
That's true.
And we are still in school. Mm-hmm. Although last year we were
a week off.
Yeah, we had a week off, and we were a week in to that vacation.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, and that's just funny to think like, oh,
yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, this sucks.
So anyways,
yeah. So let's go into picks of the week. It's picks of the week. Zim and your zams and zam and your zooms. It's picks of the week with Jacob and you. Jacob, what? Minor coughing fit, but that's okay. We're all good. He just got some water down the tube.
You can take it again.
No, it's fine.
Well, not the song. I just meant like, or whatever.
Yeah, so it's Picks of the Week, where we talk about really what's just making us pip-pop down the merry old chip-chop lane to get some little chippies. So, Jacob, what's your Pick of the Week?
My Pick of the Week is...
Arrival.
Yeah, go see it. Just like when you picked Last Jedi, and then you were like, "Oh, I have to think of something real." My pick of the week is I've talked a lot on this podcast about social issues and SJW stuff, and specifically this is referencing the Harvey Weinstein, the sexual harassment scandals and stuff.
Harvey Weinstein's my pick of the week too.
Well, I remember when it was first happening. I don't think it was on the podcast. I think it might have been out of it. I have a real big crush on
Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. Sorry. It's too easy.
I have a real big crush on Dan Harmon, who is the writer. He's the writer
of a spiritual animal, really.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. He's the writer of Community. He's the writer of Rick and Morty. He's just been a guy in TV for a really long time. I think he's super smart. I think he's super funny. I think he's super interesting. But he's also very, very flawed individual. And I remember you around the same time that this was happening. I don't think it was on the podcast, but you asked me, I think outside, and you were like, basically, well, what happened? What would happen if could anything knock Harmon from your would make you stop appreciating him, like his art. And one of the things that I love about Dan Harmon is the fact that and the reason why I think he speaks to so many people with his podcast Harmontown is the fact that he lays himself bare on a studio audience, and he like exposes every part of himself, and there's a certain amount of catharsis that comes from that. He's a flawed individual, but
would you say some of the things he does is bad?
And yeah, for sure. And specifically, the thing that I'm referencing right now is that actually ended up happening. There was the allegations came out from a community writer, Megan Gans, who on Twitter pretty much said to him like, "You hurt me," this is years ago, and he came out on his podcast and he apologized, and it's the one apology which I think I can like better than Louis C.K., better than any of these other things. Dan Harmon also, he has this whole entire thing this is before, but how to apologize, and he follows his own formula, and he talks about how you need to acknowledge the wrongdoing, you need to say what steps you are to go forward. But I think that the thing that's really important is he fully admits everything. He never tries to hide behind, and he admits the fact that he hid behind his veneer of being a feminist. And basically the fact of the matter is he destroyed his life because he was harassing this girl who was a writer for him, and he didn't even see at the time that was like, he knew in the back of his mind that was a bad thing, but he destroyed her life. He destroyed his life. He got kicked off his TV show essentially because he couldn't handle it, and he was super hard to work for after that, and he was like vindictive. And after she turned him down, and he got fired from Community, pretty much because of that. I mean, it was a lot of other things similar to that type of thing, but that was it. And that the idea that he is able to get up on stage and say that and admit it and talk about like how this thing can destroy you and destroy your very being. It destroyed his marriage. Or I would say that was an underlying thing that destroyed his marriage, which is also very public. I think that's really powerful, and I really think, I mean, I'm glad he acknowledged it, and I'm glad it was so so well done. So that's my pick of the week. I think if you get a chance, you can go listen to it. It's about 7 minutes long. I think he has or you can read the transcript. It's really good.
Cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
Something positive, I guess. Kind of. I don't know. Kind of a bummer, but you know. What about you?
My pick of the week? It's always tough for me. That's a problem.
You have so many.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it comes down to music or books, as always.
Just do both.
All right. Okay, so my pick of the week, I've been really on a vaporwave trip at the moment. And one of the reasons I started going there, vaporwave is a genre of music that focuses on like lo-fi fuzz, nostalgia mixed with basically taking old songs and manipulating them. It's called... it's found phonics or like salvaged phonics, basically, where you take old songs and you slow them down and you tweak them. It's like a method of interacting with audio. It's not new. This has always been occurring in the 60s and 70s, 80s, especially when you got magnetic tapes and sort of mixing equipment that you see coming forward. It's always been there. But vaporwave is this sort of internet phenomenon that sort of swept across for a lot of people in around 2010 through 2000 now. But the reason I like it is because I was listening to a music critic and sort of somebody explaining the purpose behind vaporwave is that it's the very definition of music's purpose to me, which is to create a sensation or mood. It's like food for your emotions or your internal mind. Like, I couldn't give a crap if the song was the most like simple, boring, trite thing. If the song can establish mood and a feeling and a sensation, that's what matters. That's why I think a lot of like songs that I find kind of boring, like modern country stadium stuff, they do establish a mood. Like, I got my girl and I got my truck and I got my beer and I'm going to fuck. Like, that's a country song, essentially.
You can make that into a song, too?
Yeah, sure. The country songs, they all create a similar mood of nostalgia, of a good old time with a good old boy in a conservative, farm-like-esque environment. They're seeking to establish that mood, and it's like, if you have one, why do I need another? Right? Music should be a unique thing. Why are we all not just eating the same piece of like wafer thin mint? Rather, we eat a panoply of food that differs in taste and flavor. And vaporwave, panoply. Thank you. Panoply of food and.
I like Penelope. Though. Yeah. That's kind of cool too.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure it's wrong.
Keep on going.
Vaporwave is flavoring my nostrils at the moment. It's really me gustaing me.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of this sort of older 90s, 80s nostalgia. I didn't live in the 80s, but who cares? It's aesthetic. Along with Toro y Moi, who is a notable hip-hop R&B artist. I liken him to a sort of Childish Gambino. He's like Childish Gambino's softer, kinder cousin, with a little bit more R&B, I guess. Even though I know Gambino's stuff at the later time was much more.
This appropriate now. Push my hand off your side. There's no one else around. I just wanna tease your eyes. Maybe we could check these locks. I just wanna go inside. Why is it so dead on a Friday night? I guess the morning's here if you wait like mine. You set my life into somewhere I can't describe. So many details.
So there's that. Those two artists have been really... specifically, the Vaporwave that I'm listening to is called Blank Banshee. And that's albums that you can find on for free on the internet. It's a Canadian artist. And then Toro y Moi, which is an artist that I'm sure most of you have heard. The book that I've been really enjoying, I reread Kurt Vonnegut, and I reread Slaughterhouse-Five. And it's not a book that I've read often, and it was the book last time I read it was in high school.
Yeah, same with me.
And I reread it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is what like good writing is like. This is cool. Like it was less about even the story. I was just enjoying the craft. Like just the sheer craft that went into writing the story. And yes, Kurt Vonnegut has, I'm sure you can criticize some of the things he does within his novels.
And so it goes.
And so it goes, right? And all that stuff. And you can criticize how he approaches things. And there is sort of, Kurt Vonnegut has these weird little, every artist does, but just seeing a well-crafted novel was like, oh, yeah, this is nice. Like, cool. I'm reading a book. I'm reading a novel. I'm reading something that has, like, density and a real weight. It's like, I guess, the difference between watching Rogue One and Arrival. They're both movies, technically. Except one leaves you feeling satisfied and satiated and comfortable and happy having done it. The other one leaves you saddened and depressed and feeling like you've just done something bad to your body. I'll leave you to figure out which movie I meant for which metaphor.
Another one of Alden's classic goofers.
So that's my pick of the week. Picks of the week.
Picks of the week? Cool. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Quick FMK. Amy Adams, Forrest Whitaker, Jeremy Renner. I know you're going to cut this, but I don't care. I want to hear it.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
This is tough.
It's tough.
I don't really want to marry Amy Adams.
I also don't want to kill her, though.
I don't want to kill her, though. So I guess we're sleeping together. I'd marry Jeremy Renner.
Really?
Yeah, because he seems like he'd be a good dad.
Yeah, he's got good dadness.
I mean, and I'm sorry, but, Forrest Whitaker was...
I can't stand your accent!
Forrest Whitaker is a general. He was going to die in war anyways at some point, so I don't feel that bad about it. I wouldn't want Amy Adams to be married. I wouldn't want to marry her because in this whole entire movie is about her lying.
Are we talking about in the movie
her...
or just as a person?
Well, I thought in the movie.
Okay,
yeah. In the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to marry Amy Adams' character in the movie. I can't remember her name. Louise?
Yeah, Louise.
Something? Is it?
Louise.
Is it Louise?
Yeah, Louise something or other.
Okay. I wouldn't want to marry Louise.
I don't remember Jeremy Renner's character's name.
He's Ian.
Ian.
I remember that one.
Ian Carmel.
I wouldn't want to marry Louise because the whole entire movie is all about her lying to Jeremy Renner about their daughter.
But this is you. Do you think you can handle somebody lying?
No, I wouldn't want that to happen. Yeah. I want to be with double Jeremy Renner. Double Ian.
If you are the husband, though it's implied that you replace Jeremy Renner's position because you'd have to experience the aliens to have the shared connection to even make the baby with
that's the deal. I thought I just got to marry one of do that.
Well, why does Jeremy Renner get to marry her? Basically, because they both shared a traumatic experience.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I have to choose something different, obviously.
Well, that's
yeah.
what I would always do, you know, just to make it
So
interesting.
I would kill Jeremy Renner.
Wow.
I think he's just kind of boring.
Uh-huh.
You know, a torrid one-night stand with Forrest Whitaker. That's good. That's fun. He can talk to me in all sorts of weird accents. I don't care. I'm easy. Use whatever voice you want, baby. And then, of course, I would marry Amy Adams because she's got a nice house. And while it would hurt to lose our daughter, obviously, and to have her lie to me,
She does have a nice house.
she has a very nice house. It's in the East Coast. Even though it looks like a West Coast house. Deep cut back to an argument me and Jacob had that you guys don't know and we won't explain. Amy Adams, I would of course be devastated, but I'm a Slytherin. You know, I'm an Iago.
Are you admitting it?
Yeah, fuck it. I'm pretty much a Slytherin. Yeah.
Okay, we were going through all the houses and I was like, Alden is a Slytherin, and nobody was like agreeing with me. And I'm like, what?
Mel actually said, no, I could see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so did Terry.
God.
Yeah.
All right, cool, good.
So I'm a Slytherin. I feel like I could.
Nobody-
I feel like I wouldn't bounce back, but I would understand where she's coming from. I would still probably separate with her, but I would be understanding. Let's put it that way. And it would suck. It would totally suck. It's like it's incomprehensible. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right.
Anyway, from us here at Real Human Beings, to you all out there in the nethosphere, we're all gonna die.
All right. Great. Wonderful.
It's a man on the street, and he's walking down the street, and he's giving out reviews.
Well, I was still traumatized
What
by
did
the
we give
fact.
Rogue One?
I gave it a
3?
I gave it a 4, I think.
I gave it a 5, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
Yeah, but I mean,
Sorry.
we've never reviewed Rogue One on the podcast.
Oh,
Maybe
really?
We should.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
we should,
we've never reviewed. We just reference every time that we hate it.
But we never need to review it.
Um,
I don't understand why people like it. Sidetrack here. I don't understand why people like it. Like, how can you be so mentally devoid of any sort of imagination or appreciation for proper storytelling to watch that movie and to go, yeah, that was good. Yeah. Like, it's baffling.
it's so quick. I have no idea what any of the characters are.
Yeah, it was a smear. The only character I cared about was the pilot. Because I thought he was gonna die, and then he came back as a character. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Well, again, he displayed a little bit more emotion than anyone else in the movie, besides the robot K2SO, who's being like, "Oh,
I'm a funny guy."
Yeah, and then Jin Ursa and the other the
who
Cal,
gives a fuck?
the
romance. Who gives a
the
shit?
Han Solo character. They were the same person.
Yeah.
And then the random blind monk who's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come with you," and his buddy.
Yeah.
Like that was randomly tacked on too.
I think our original idea of having them die to Darth Vader is much better.
That would be cool.
Because then you have the monk, he can actually use the Force. Like Vader's like coming up,
Yeah.
he kills his friend, and then the monk is like Force slaps him, and Vader's like, "Oh, Force user."
Or buys him enough
buys
time.
no time,
Yeah.
and then the monk's like he finally sees that, and that would be awesome. That would be so cool, but they
didn't.
It like that movie. I think the biggest problem for me with Rogue One is that it had so much potential.
Yeah.
Or the idea of showing that segment had potential.
You fall in love with your own segment.
But they failed it so badly.